Hey everybody, Mark Davis joining you in the afterglow of our Wednesday, August 22nd, 2013 show. And the question properly arises with Obamacare still threatening us and Syria about to explode and the Republic still hanging by a thread. Why in the world am I going to devote a couple of minutes here to Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst's odd phone call to the Allen Police Department on the evening of August 3rd? Answer is talk show gold. Talk show gold. I didn't trademark that term, but I come up with it every once in a while when an issue arises where on one side there are people with strong principle making really good points, and on the other side there are people of strong principle making really good points. The facts are essentially these. Somewhere on the night of August 3rd, the lieutenant governor's step niece or whatever, a woman married to his nephew, walked out of a Kroger in Allen, Texas with some items without having paid for them. Whoops. So one of two things is true. Either she's a shoplifter, and that is apparently what the store manager and the police believed, or it was just one of those misunderstandings. And I know my proper skepticism arises, oh yeah, one of those misunderstandings. But it was that infernal world of the self-checkout. I've probably come this close to walking out with God knows how much stuff because the thing didn't scan, my card didn't do great, I was confused. I know, imagine that. But so I'm prepared to give this woman some latitude for believability. But that's not what's really important. What we have is audio, and we played it this morning, of the lieutenant governor calling dispatch and then asking for the highest ranking officer there at the Allen PD. And he gets him, and the guy on duty there was a gentleman named Sergeant Manus. And the sergeant, for like a good 10 minutes, takes a pretty hefty barrage from Lieutenant Governor Dewhurst. A barrage of, I'm the lieutenant governor, cops love me. Can I have the cell phone number of the sheriff and maybe a judge or two? Whew, man, it is such heavy influence wielding, taking the power of that office and attempting to lean on this guy and make him do something so that this relative of Lieutenant Governor Dewhurst gets sprung from jail that night. Now, here are the two ways you can feel about that. Number one, he's a lieutenant governor. If you were lieutenant governor, wouldn't you do exactly the same thing? Be honest. Most of you who say no are probably lying. I said most. But on the other side are people who say, listen, maybe no law was broken here. And even the Allen PD is the first to say that no law was violated in Lieutenant Governor Dewhurst's behavior toward this sergeant or anything that he asked for. But there are those who say that it was, and here's the term that's used, an abuse of power. Now, there are some abuses of power that are illegal, like Nixon or Clinton lying to a grand jury, stuff like this. But there are some abuses of power that are not illegal, but they're just bad, man. They're just not good. And my inclination, there were a lot of people who came down very hard on Lieutenant Governor Dewhurst, and I think that's an overreaction. There are others, however, who said, oh, there's nothing to this, and I think that's an underreaction. Oh, there's something to this, all right. Remember when Rick Perry, a few months before becoming governor, was pulled over. His driver was doing 75 and a 55. Yeah, let's you and me try that. And in the traffic stop where the officer was writing a warning, just a warning to the driver, the then lieutenant governor issued his famous quote, why don't you let us just get down the road? Yeah, imagine if you and I had tried that. And in fact, that's sort of the name of the whole premise. Imagine if you and I, ... Imagine if you and I had a relative in jail for shoplifting. I mean, let's say it was a misunderstanding. That's what the wheels of justice exist for. It will get worked out. If we want to get her out of jail that night, which I can certainly understand, maybe that's possible, maybe that's not, through bail bondsmen, the court system, the way it usually goes. Most of us do not have the ability to call the cop on duty and say, yeah, here's who I am, here's how much every cop loves me, the head of the state troopers is going to call you in about 10 minutes. Really? And say precisely what? And the capper of all of it, the notion of he called it ridiculous, a miscarriage of justice, and he just sort of expected the dominoes to fall because of who he is. Now, to his credit, the lieutenant governor does say several times, within the law, within the purview, within your discretion, he's not looking to skirt any laws. And he's not, but he is looking for that wide avenue of discretion to lean in every way toward what he wanted to have happen. I totally understand that. I absolutely do. I think it's possible to over-criticize the lieutenant governor for this. But that having been said, especially when you're running for re-election, It's never good to be caught on tape attempting to throw your weight around in ways that the average citizen never can. That's me. You may be different. Give me a buzz. If you're watching this on Thursday, I probably ought to be in bed by now. If Friday morning, 5 a.m. for Bill Bennett's Morning in America. In fact, the Bill Bennett Morning Show has discovered Duck Dynasty this week. Willie and Phil. Listen, I've discovered them just in the last year, and I'm just watching every old episode I can because there's something awesome happening there. That show is huge, not just because they're quirky and the antics and the blah, 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 but it's because that show is wrapped in their love for each other and their love of the Lord. And it is something. I've got some excerpts of some speaking engagements by Willie at Harding University and Phil somewhere. Phil talking pro-life issues. I know it seems like a disconnect, but it's wild. And I'll find some of those and play those in the morning. Okay, there we are. Ready for a big Friday. Bill Bennett's Morning in America, 5 to 8 a.m. Our normal local get together, 8 to 10. But Monday through Thursday, every morning, 7 to 10. Catch the show. It's this much fun with phone calls. How can you resist that? Mark Davis, thanks for hanging out with us right here on 660 AM, The Answer.